What you doing, Aunt Ruby?
Sewing.
Just sewing?
Gonna choose my clothes now.
I will do that in a few minutes.
Okay.
I'll check the weather and we'll decide
All right.
what's a good thing to wear tomorrow. Okay?
All right.
What's new?
What's new?
Yeah.
Well, I got some more things. I didn't want to have run out in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night?
Well,
You're supposed to sleep at night.
I don't sleep very good. If I take those Tylenol, which I did last night because my legs bothered, I took them about 10 o'clock, about 10:30 I took them. I slept until 2:30.
4 hours is about your average.
Yeah, and then I woke up, but I couldn't sleep, so I came out here and sewed for an hour and a half.
Okay. So would you say that making crosses is your ministry?
Yes.
And what else do you do that you're very diligent about?
Pray.
Pray.
Pray for missionaries. Pray for things I read about in magazines. Billy Graham and this other one I just got. All that. Pray for all the missionaries I know about. Pray for the people at church. Pray for all the relatives, the Sandbergs and Otts and all of them. It takes me a long while to get through all my lists.
Well,
I pray for Israel and for the Jews who didn't have to move like this. There were many of the Jews that were not forced to move they took the richer people and the people with more knowledge, but they left a lot of the Jews in Israel, poor people, and they have never left Israel, and so there's still many Jews there, but I don't know if any of them know Jesus. If they find Jesus now, and that only God knows that. And I pray for those Jews.
well, I know many American missionaries that go and preach the gospel in Jerusalem.
Yes.
So
That's who they're aiming at.
they're aiming at souls that need to be saved of any nationality, every tribe and every tongue.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I can pray for everybody I can think about. Think needs prayer.
So if you were to talk to other people your age, would you tell them that there's still something that they can do?
Oh, yes.
They can still...
Even if you're bedridden, you can still pray.
Right. Right. Yep, you can still pray, praise, and worship God,
Yeah.
even if you're bedridden.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no excuses, right?
No, not really.
So yesterday we talked about your school and stuff.
Oh.
Tell me about church. Did you always go to church?
I wasn't going to church at the time I met Vance. But
I'm talking, can we go back a little, like as a child?
the child. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. We always went to church. Sunday and Wednesday.
2 days a week. And how far was church?
5 miles.
5 miles. And
But we couldn't go in the wintertime there in those days. There was no traffic. Cars couldn't get through, and we couldn't take the team that far.
okay. When you say you couldn't take the team, what does that mean for people that don't know what you're talking about?
The horses,
You couldn't take the horses.
well, we could take them, but it would take too long and too cold, and it just wasn't the thing you did.
Right. Because it was too much work for what it was worth.
And the time to
Yeah.
travel to get there. No.
Right. So when it was nice weather, how did you get there?
In the car.
What kind of car did you have?
Well, when I was little, we had a Model T Ford, and then once in a while, when cousins would come and stay, I envied them because they could ride in the rumble seat, and I couldn't because I was little and they were teenagers, you know.
Oh, they got to ride in a rumble seat.
Yes, and I couldn't ride in the rumble seat.
Where did you have to sit?
In front with Mother and Dad. That's the only place it was.
Oh, man. I hate when that happens. So how many people did you fit into a Model T car?
That was the just 3, maybe if you had 2 children, maybe 4.
Okay.
And so that's what we traveled in until one time Dad went to St. Paul with the man that came to haul some of our cattle down for sale. And then he looked around and he found a Ford that had a back seat. And that was the most wonderful thing in the world to me. It had a back seat.
Okay.
And that became, then Dad started picking up the neighbor kids to take them to church when we went to church. And we sat, you wouldn't believe it, but at one time we had 13 people in that car.
13 people in a Model T car.
Not model.
A different model car.
It wasn't a two-seater. It was just a back seat.
Right. So 3 people in the back seat. And you had 2 seats in the front seat.
Yeah.
So you had 13 people in that car.
Yes. We would stop. Dad would stop the car, and they'd shuffle around. The biggest kids would sit on the bottom, and then the others had to sit on their laps.
So you piled high.
Yep.
Did that one have a rumble seat?
That didn't have any rumble seat. Nope.
Okay. Was it enclosed or was it open?
Closed.
So you could actually sit inside
Yeah.
and stay warm
Yeah.
if you needed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was wonderful, and so that was a phenomenal amount that Dad had in the car. And one time, he was working on the road. You did your own road work. You did no county came in and did anything for you, or anything.
The farmers took care of their own road.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And Dad was working on the road, and some new neighbors moved in, and Dad invited them to go to church, to our church. And come Sunday morning, they got to church before us, and then they recognized Dad when he came in, and that woman with all those kids, the the woman told Mother afterwards, she didn't get anything. She didn't get anything out of the sermon because she could think about was how that woman managed with all those kids, redheads, blondes, and dark-haired kids, all those different kids, and what a mother she was. Wow, she just all the sermon she couldn't concentrate.
She couldn't concentrate on the preacher because she was wondering how your mother had so many kids.
Yeah. And she told Mother then, but she later on how she had felt about that. That was a big joke.
That's funny. Yep. So Grandpa was always picking people up for church.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Grandpa was very well known for his generosity, his goodness, his kindness.
And he would go out of his way. He used to take one girl. She got there some other way. I don't know how she got there to church, but he would take her home, and he'd go 4 miles actually, 2 miles out of our road. Not many people would not have done that.
Right. Yep. He was what I call when I think of Christian, I think of Christ-like. He didn't come to be served. He came to serve others.
Yeah.
He was a very good example.
And yet, when you think of it, he went to church with Mother for 4 years. It was German, with Swedish messages. He must have understood Swedish, but he didn't talk it, because he went to church for 4 years before they changed and they started preaching in English.
Wow.
Then he became a Christian when I was 4 years old.
So he went and listened to a Swedish-speaking preacher.
For 4 years.
For 4 years. Maybe it had something to do with the Spirit of God more than it was the words.
Well, it must have, because he was friendly with the pastors, and one pastor was raised there as a child, and I don't know why he and his wife were there for a year or two in our church. I have no idea how that worked out.
Grandpa was a very special, unique person.
I agree with that.
He was inventive. He was kind. He was, what's the word I want?
Extremely intelligent.
Intelligent. Yep.
He had an uncle who was an inventor. He was from Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
Or from Germany. And he lived not in Harris, but the next town.
North Branch.
North Branch. And he invented a potato digger. It would go down the rows and dig the potatoes out, and then the people would pick up and potatoes was the most marketable thing in those days.
Okay.
And he invented a potato digger, and he invented several other things too, even a car and a snowmobile. I had pictures of them, those things that he had invented. And Dad had wisdom, some wisdom, like his uncle, I'm sure, because he of the like I told you that
Very much so.
wood box and stuff. He could think about things and make them.
Yes. Yep. If there was something he needed, he would find a way to make it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember, I think I was 10, and I don't remember what model the tractor was, but it was a pretty big tractor. And the big garden needed to be mulched. And he says, Sally, come here. And so I went over there, and he says, you're going to do this today. And he showed me one time around the garden, and then he made me do it.
And you did it.
And I did it. We got pictures of it. I got pictures of it. Yep. So he didn't, it was like there wasn't that thing in that some people have that you can't do something. With him, it was you can do it.
Yeah.
So just do it. I'm going to show you how, and you just do it.
Yeah.
That's what he had in him. He didn't have can't. I can't do this or I can't do that. He didn't have that. He had, let's figure this out how we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it. So, did you have Sunday school?
Oh yeah. My mother was a Sunday school teacher.
Yeah.
So she was my mother and my teacher.
Okay.
And Mrs. Halstead was the Sunday school superintendent, and she would teach when someone couldn't come and stuff, And she also, there for I don't know how many years, she was my school teacher. She stayed at the Jacobsons, one of the neighbors, and then it was about, I wasn't a full half a mile, I don't think. She walked to school and then taught, and then she stayed at Jacobson's all week, and then her husband would come get her.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I must have maybe 10 or probably about 10 or 11. I don't know. I was getting older, and she was a wonderful teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And she would, when we were studying, say about the Babylonians in our school books, she'd show us where that fit into the Bible.
Wow. She'd get in trouble nowadays.
Yes, she would, but that was in those days. Dad was the school president, so.
Your dad was the school president.
Yeah.
Your dad should be the school president still.
Well, anyway,
He wouldn't go for all this nonsense.
no. So that's how I remember Mrs. Halstead so well.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like Sundays were kind of an ordeal. Like they took up a good part of your day.
It took much of the day, because by the time you would drive the 5 miles, you go to church, I suppose about 10 o'clock, and Sunday school, and then the church service, and then driving back home. We probably didn't have dinner till 2, or
Mm-hmm.
even if she had it on the stove while she was gone, we wouldn't eat till 2 or later maybe.
Right.
don't remember. But logically, it would be that like.
Yeah, it took a good part of your day when you picked people up and dropped people off and
Yeah. And
yeah.
the car didn't go very fast because it wasn't that the roads weren't very good anyhow.
Right. Right. They were just two ruts and you had to just go
Yeah.
slow.
And then I don't remember what we did Sunday evening, if we did anything. If we had any time, we probably went to visit Grandma. She only lived a little over a mile from our house.
Okay. And did Grandma ever go to church or not?
No, she couldn't go to church. He couldn't pick. He wouldn't let her go to church. He had to have his coffee.
Oh, because coffee's more important than going to church.
Oh, definitely. I told you what he was like.
Oh, my. My. Yep. Well,
But he couldn't hurt her. He couldn't hit her anymore.
he couldn't hit her anymore. Grandpa put an end to that.
Yeah.
But you know where church is? Church is right inside of you. And he could never take that away from her.
No.
Never, ever, 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 never.
So anyway, and sometimes George and Bertha would be over there with their kids would be, so Opal and Pearl would be there too with Grandma's.
So then you had cousins to play with.
Yeah.
Opal and Pearl.
Opal was whenever I got, she was 2 years older than I was, but she and I, we loved to be together.
Opal, Pearl, and Ruby. What's up with that? Y'all named after gemstones.
Well, that was Dad named me. George had Isabel and Clarence and 2 other children that had died. And then she had Pearl and then Opal. And so they had a house full. And when I was born, Opal was 2 years old. And Mother wanted to name me Charlotte. And he says, no way. Charlie she's not having my name. He says, I want a Jim. He named me Ruby.
Your dad did? Mm-hmm. Okay. So he got himself a Jim.
Well, he was the one that named me.
More precious than rubies. Well,
Got some more information.
got some more information. That's probably enough for today.
Okay.
I don't want to rack your brain too hard like I did the first day. We don't want it to start rattling or anything.
No, it won't rattle.
Okay, good. All right. Tune in next time.